Busch Series Race 3 on the season, and we are at the Redball Raceway, our first fantasy track on this game. Not just the season, but on the game in general. Didn't run any fantasy tracks in the first Busch Truck or Cup Series season, so here we are. Under the lights in this one, it's a half-mile short track, and it is a 200-lap race, so a pretty quick one here tonight. So 100% race, of course, with that. And we will be starting at the tail end of the field. No practice, no qualifying, as we still try to get Clint Boyer his first win of the young season. Finished second place last night at California to Kyle Busch. And first winner of the season at Daytona was Dale Jr. So we'll see what this one will bring. Paul Menard on the pole here. Green flag in the air. Who had Paul Menard on the pole on your bingo card? That's a random one. Out in front of the field, Harvick on the top row there, tail end of the field as well. Getting passed by his teammate Boyer. I think we'll have some speed here. I feel like the short tracks were my strong suit back in the first seasons, the custom schedule seasons. Oh boy, as I say that, a lot of contact with John Andretti. And I don't think he's too happy about that. It was 3 wide, and Boyer got a little tight in the center of the corner, which led to that contact on these tight confines. It's like a not as banked asphalt Bristol is basically what this racetrack is. Nashville Fairgrounds now. Now, fantasy track, good old Redball Raceway. If you want to think of it as the Nashville Fairgrounds, go right ahead. There's a lot of short tracks around the country. This could probably look like, to be completely honest. Oh, wow. Somebody blew an engine already. Somebody up towards the front of the field. Just lap 6 on this short track. That engine definitely did not last long. With contact with Denny Hamlin. Boyer drives by. Heavy on the brakes into turn 1. Trying not to make too much contact. Got to save this car. Even though the race isn't very long. A lot of cars to pass here. Already about halfway through the field for Boyer in the 2. Well, contact with Stewart to get 3 wide to the bottom. Boyer's doing a great job keeping his car on the bottom lane. It obviously looks like the quickest car in the field, the way he's just passing cars relentlessly, really, at this point. Wade Zaleski, Bentley Potts, and Jerry Fasnacht, thanks for tuning in. Tony Stewart to the lead. Unless that's the other 33 car. It is, actually. Yeah, I was going to say, I thought I passed Tony Stewart already. Rotten Hornaday is the race leader. A lot of contact with the 106. And Boyer got hung up on him, excuse me. I had that issue a lot at California in the Busch race too last night. I would make contact with somebody, and then it couldn't get back down to the bottom of the racetrack. Just kind of both went up the hill until it came close to a stop. Luckily on a short track, it's a little bit easier for drivers to get slowed down from behind to keep from running over each other. That caused a few of the cautions in the Busch race, at least at California yesterday. Truck race went caution free in our doubleheader of 250% races. We'll have 2 more doubleheaders the rest of this week with NASCAR 07. Busch Series tomorrow, Atlanta, Vegas, and then Atlanta, Martinsville for the Truck Series, a doubleheader there. All 50% races over the next couple of nights. Following tonight's action, and our start times at 6 p.m. Eastern. I did put a community tab post a little bit ago on the schedule for the rest of the week as far as the gaming stuff, and I'll have the weekend schedule for the live commentary streaming schedule when we get closer to the weekend. Daytona, Milwaukee this weekend for NASCAR. Xfinity Cup Series, of course, at Daytona, while the Truck Series is at Milwaukee on a Sunday afternoon. Little loose in, getting into turn 1 that time. Boyer still able to make a pass on Mayfield. A little contact. Hornaday, who led just a few laps ago, stuck on the outside lane of the racetrack. And Boyer already up to 6th. Sunshine Coolwater, thanks for tuning in also. I mean, Boyer's got to capitalize on the speed he's got in the race car here today. Like, you have to imagine this is going to be the race he's going to win. And maybe this will open the floodgates. Crocker has led the last few laps, now going to lose the lead to Boyer in turns 1 and 2. From last to first in 19 laps for the two of Boyer. All three RCR Chevys outside the top 10 in the point standings coming into this race here today. Redball based on same geometry as North Wilkesboro Speedway. Is it? I don't think it's got the downhill front stretch and the uphill back stretch, though. It feels like it's pretty flat. Or I should say even. That North Wilkesboro Speedway I felt like was a little bit flatter than this too. Yeah, because I know like the, I think it's the Allstate Speedway, definitely is Rockingham. Like without a doubt it is Rockingham. We've got the car to beat today. We just got to stay on top of strategy. It should be a one pit stop race. I don't think that's really going to be a huge strategy call here to try to win this thing. Just got to keep the car clean and continue to try to pull away here as Boyer is doing just that on Aaron Crocker. Just had to get me to the short track. Try to take advantage of this points deficit we've got going on right now. 14th in the standings coming in. You can see the top 10 in the points scrolling across the screen. And if you're wondering why Boyer's not up there, that would be why. I know technically this isn't the original Blue Deuce per se. It's the two car that Kurt Busch would have driven around this time period. The Miller Lite scheme, but I mean, it is blue. It is the number 2. We're just not the OG Blue Deuce. Ethan Chua, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, I definitely need a max points day here. I mean, it was nice to finish second. We did get some bonus points at California, led a few laps, but yeah, we need a win. Got to break into the win column. Same for the truck series. I haven't won a race there yet either. Off to a hot start with Dave Blaney, though. I'm still not in the lead in points there. Second in the standings to Dale Jr. after 4 races. But got to move upwards. At least this Busch Series season's about as long as the Cup season. It's only 1 race less. But the Truck Series, it's only 25 races. So definitely got to get a move on there at the very least. Still going to be a minute until Boyer gets into lap traffic, too. We'll also have to see if there's some faster cars other than Aaron Crocker that could get up into the top 5 in the second place position and maybe contend with Boyer as we get deeper into the race and if we get any cautions in this one here today as well. Of course, the first 2 races did not go caution-free. Haven't had a caution-free Cup race yet, though we have been close a couple of times. 2 of the first 4 races, only 1 yellow there. And both of them were the 50% races. Tell you what, this thing does go caution-free. It's going to be probably the quickest Busch Series race of the season. Because even Bristol, similarly fast track, half mile as well as an extra 50 laps in the one race, and the other of the 2 Bristol races, it's 300 laps. So definitely, if it isn't the shortest race of the season, it's got to be one of them. We might even race here twice, to be completely honest. I'm not sure on the fantasy tracks, because we obviously haven't ran this season yet, exactly what that would look like. We're still handling at this point in the run. Got to make it to lap 50 before we get to the halfway mark on fuel to ensure that this is going to be a one-stop race. We're at lap 44 already. Imagine lap traffic shouldn't be too much of a struggle when you consider the fact of how quick Bowyer got through the field on the initial start of the race. Started last in this one, and in 19 laps got to the lead, and in 45 laps has already put a gap over Aaron Crocker, who still remains in second. And Crocker really pulling away from the rest of the field. About a 3.1 second lead for Bowyer in the 2 as he approaches the back of lap traffic for the first time here tonight. Apron does have some grip here. I've kind of used the apron a little bit. I don't want to get all 4 tires down there per se, but the left side's only down below that white line. There's definitely a ton of grip. It makes it easier to try to make passes down there too when the lap cars, or even at times as we made our way through the field, that the lead lap cars weren't given a whole lot of room. Harvick's made up some ground, but not a lot. We'll have to transfer to that 29 car pretty soon here. 50 laps in. .290 that last lap, fastest of the race. Three wide in the bottom. All 4 tires down to the apron that time, middle off. 15.290 again that last lap. A little bit of breakaway from the pack. I mean, this is a race. I might be able to lap the field, honestly. The pace we're running at right now. Oh, I tried to... Oh, we got pit stops. Okay, never mind. Got some pit stops going on here. Well prior to the halfway mark. We'll swap to Kevin Harvick in the 29. I thought Jeff Burton might have blown an engine at first, but for some reason it looks like we've got some pit stops going on. Harvick going to try to get his lap back. Boyer had to check up with Andretti pitting, and it looks like Harvick will get back on the lead lap as he passes the two of Boyer. Never know if a caution could come out right in the middle of these green flag stops. Cars coming in as cars are leaving pit road. Could definitely be a time for that to happen. Burton in the 27th place position. Probably 2 laps down if I had to guess, with pitting under green flag conditions. Clint Boyer down on pit road. Well, I guess it's going to be a 2-stop race today. The entire field. Kevin Harvick down onto pit road now as well. Definitely wasn't expecting pit stops right at lap 50 in this one. Up into the top 10 for Jeff Burton. Looks like he'll cycle into the 9th place position. As we have gotten through our first wave of green flag stops, so it looked like it was going to be a 1-stop race today. Instead, that has turned to 2 stops. I'd probably say about half the field is already a lap down. A 4.5-second lead for race leader Clint Boyer. We're just going to get our second and final field pass through when we get back to the start-finish line this next time by. Harvick right in front of us. 21st place for Harvick, so there's 22 cars on the lead lap. Harvick the second to last car on the lead lap currently. Contact with those couple cars right in front of him. Well, Harvick, who started deep in the field, now has cracked the top 20. Jeff Burton up to 7th, couple more spots gained for the 21. He got really loose when I took control of him there. Big slide. Jeff Burton was actually the closest, if I'm not mistaken, to being in the top 10 in points. Actually, I could be wrong on that. One of the RCR cars were 11th in points. It wasn't me. Boyer was 14th. One of them was 16th, I believe. Alright, so everybody's made a pit stop. Field very spaced out. Was before the pit stops, but even since then as well. Not sure exactly why everybody pitted when they did. I mean, that pretty much guarantees that if we end up getting a caution in this race at some point, that we're probably going to see cars pit, if I had to imagine. If they were willing to pit under green at random, if we weren't in the middle of the field swap, I'd probably be about 2 laps ahead of the field right now based off of that, but that is not the case. 4-second lead. Still pretty healthy margin, all things considered. First 70 laps are in, though, caution-free. Three wide on the bottom, a little contact. Nothing major. Still put together the fastest lap of the day, even with the minimal contact through 3 and 4. 15.233 that last time by for the two at the start-finish line. Mark DeMars, thanks for tuning in. I don't know. I think we're going to get a yellow or two. We didn't get one during the green flag pit stops the last time, but I can definitely see that happening at some point. Lap car crossed Clint Boyer back over. We're getting down to the bottom, trying to put Hamlin a lap down. And does clear of Denny off turn 2. "75 laps complete." Oh boy. A little contact with the 106. And one of Boyer's teammates, Kevin Harvick, about to go a lap down in that 29 car. Rough start to the Busch Series season continues for Harvick. Cup Series, he's top 10 in points, though, in the early going through 4 races. Oh boy. Lap car definitely got back to the inside of Boyer. Boyer with an over-aggressive move to try to get back into the bottom lane. He's got a big lead. Got to be careful here. Last thing you want to do is wreck the race car at this point. Especially when you have the fastest car in the field in this situation. You don't want to caution in general. Even if it's accidentally turning somebody else. Want to keep this thing green as much as you could possibly keep it green for. Looks like pole sitter Paul Menard, last car in the lead lap currently. I don't know if he led a lap off the start or not. And I hope he did. Cool to see Menard on the pole. Definitely random. You don't see that very often where you see guys that aren't usually contending for wins qualifying on the pole in these EA games. At least of the ones I've played. I haven't played 08 or 09, but interesting to see the 11 of Menard up front at the start. And as a result of that track position, again, 85 laps into this caution-free run, he's still in the lead lap. Albeit maybe not for long as he tries to make a pass on Greg Biffle. Oh, that's not even Paul Menard. I had the wrong yellow car. Bernie Lamar in the 77. Yeah, so Menard must be hanging on pretty well then. I have not seen him yet. Unless he blew a motor. I don't think he did. There's one car that blew an engine real early in this race. It was like lap 6, but it looked like it was a fantasy driver. Bernie Lamar doing a great job hanging on to the lead lap, though. He's been right in front of this 2 car for quite some time now. They're trying to get to the inside. And he is there. A lot of contact. But the pass is made. Oh boy. We're good. That could have been a lot worse than what it was. Got room to get back down to the bottom into turn 1. And Boyer does. Now it's going to be a struggle trying to get back underneath Lamar again. 15.199. Tell you what, I'm hoping for the season's sake that we have one more trip to Redball Raceway. It's a good little quick race and a dominating one. I'll take that. Oh my gosh. Every time I have made contact with somebody, I just get glued to them. We're making a lot of rivals in this race as a result of that. Boy, this thing's gone. If we see drivers pit about every 50 laps or so, we're going to end up seeing green flag pit stops very shortly again. At least now that I'm driving as Boyer, I'm not going to worry about pitting at that lap 50 mark. I will probably short pit the final stop because I can make it on one more for sure. That's assuming everybody pits at about lap 50 again, which we're at lap 98 right now. Haven't seen anybody pit yet. Just waiting for cars to make that dive off turn 2, but haven't seen it yet. Nearly an 8-second lead for the two of Boyer. Jeff Burton was in 7th the last we saw of him, and he is the 3rd to last car in the lead lap. Boyer with a bump to the back bumper of the 117. 100 laps down, 100 to go here at Redball Raceway. I wonder if everybody pitted because the fuel window was open at that point. That's going to make things interesting if that was the case. Maybe we can make it the rest of the way on fuel. I didn't really think about that till just now. Either way, if we get a caution, I'm pitting. Because I feel like I have to make one more stop. If we make it to about lap 125, though, before we get to the halfway mark on fuel, then we can probably make it the rest of the way here. Jeff Burton going to go a lap down at the hands of his teammate Clint Boyer, who's just obliterating the field, really. I can't say I've done this in a Busch race on this game. There's been some cup races we won pretty handily, but most of the Busch races on that last season were very competitive. The whole season was with us winning the championship with Jimmy Johnson by only 12 points. The season's end over Tony Stewart. No, I didn't replace Las Vegas. Vegas is the 4th race on here. So I looked back at it and I was wondering why Redball Raceway was the 3rd race of the schedule, because it's the actual, supposed to be the actual season. Obviously there's some fantasy tracks for tracks they don't have licensing for. To make up the full 35 races that the Busch Series would have ran in 2006 on their schedule. So the weird thing is, the Busch Series had an off week after the 2nd week of the season. So in what should have been an off week before Vegas, we're running this Redball Raceway instead, which would probably take over like a Kentucky or a Memphis later in the season, some track like that that the Busch Series did race at that isn't in this game. There's a couple other tracks too, like Montreal. Either Montreal or Mexico City. I can't remember exactly which one the Busch Series raced at that time, as the caution flag waves. First yellow of the day at lap 110. with 91 laps to go, as it looks like Denny Hamlin and Kurt Busch got hung up on each other. Yeah, so the fantasy tracks are going to take part during the off weeks and or the, those racetracks that aren't in this game. So we're definitely going to pit here. 4 tires and fuel. I would like to think we should make it to the end from here if we were to stay green. And I would think that this is going to be the final stop. That 8.5 second lead, though, is now gone for Clint Boyer. A few extra cars might have been trapped a lap down as we were in the middle of green flag pit stops at the time of this first yellow. Second pit stop of the day for Boyer. Pitted under green right around lap 50 earlier. So I'd imagine everybody else is going to pit one more time then. Even though I'm pretty darn sure this 2-car can make it the rest of the way. It's like Aaron Crocker going to win the race off pit road and will be the leader. And Boyer will be second. Looks like there were 2 cars that were still on the lead lap that might have been on pit road when the caution came out. They will be the leaders now. One of which I believe is Stewart. No, never mind. Only 2 cars on the lead lap for the restart. So green flag back in the air. So it's only Crocker and Boyer are the only 2 cars on the lead lap here at the Redball Raceway as we have a little less than 90 to go from the restart. Second time Crocker has led today. A little 3-wide action. Three wide and tight. Boyer's back to the lead. Crocker got held up on that outside lane to the 3-wide with Stewart in the middle. A couple of cars getting their lap back on the restart by the 98 and the 2, and those are the next 2 cars that are in front of Clint Boyer, who is now the race leader. Boyer looking low. Deep dive into turn 1. A lot of contact with that 122 car. Boyer has now just clinched the most laps led in the race, and we still have 83 laps left. Clean air on the nose of the 2 for now. It's going to be a minute before lap traffic unless we get another caution in the meantime. The 2 is back out in front. I'm trying to think of some other tracks that might have been on the Busch schedule at this time that aren't in this game. The only ones I could think of are, like I already mentioned, with Mexico City, maybe Montreal. I felt like they only had 1 international race. Oh, you know what? Road America might have been on the schedule at this time, too. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think Road America could have been on the schedule in 06. I'm not sure when they started racing there. The Busch / Nationwide / Xfinity Series. Tigers up 1-0 on the Cubs. Another low-scoring game. Well, I guess they're in Chicago. I forgot that would have started a little bit ago. Watch that be the final score, though. That wouldn't shock me. I feel like a typical Tigers win is like less than 6 runs scored in the game. 6 or less. A lot of 4-2s, 3-2s, 3-1s, 2-1s, 1-0s. $75 laps left this time by. Somebody would have gotten the free pass with that caution coming out as well. So I'd imagine we have 3 cars on the lead lap, but obviously whoever had the free pass would have restarted at the tail end of the longest line on the restart. Yeah, crazy to believe hockey's starting up soon. I don't pay any attention to the, yeah. I don't really pay attention to the preseason much with any sports. I felt like growing up with football, I kind of did more than what I do now. I never took stock in it necessarily, but I'd still kind of try to watch the Packers. I'm going to be honest, I haven't watched any highlights from the first 2 Green Bay preseason games. Road America was 2010. Nashville in 06. Yeah, I knew they raced at Nashville. Nashville, Memphis. Maybe those are the only 2 ovals that were... Were they at Iowa yet? When they start racing at Iowa? That might be another one. Because that's not on this game. Kentucky, like I mentioned already. I know they definitely raced at Kentucky. They started racing there right when it was built. Kept racing there until the day it was no longer on the NASCAR schedule entirely. Iowa was in 08. Okay, so that wouldn't take over for this. Yeah, I can't think of any more. Boyer's definitely got the fastest car here. It's going to take a lot for Aaron Crocker to try to pull off an upset. That one caution, though, does keep her in the race, because at least she can stay in the lead lap, and I don't think she's going to have to worry about going a lap down. I think she's got enough pace to stay in the lead lap the rest of this race. So one more yellow after this, get that one good restart and try to beat the 2. Would be the fighting chance. Later it comes in the race, more of an opportunity where if you make the pass, less time to give it back up again. Just with how dominant this race car is, it'd be a shame if we don't win it. And we've been streaming for like 37 minutes, and we only have, what, 64 laps left? This race is flying. Problem is I can't do the next race because I planned on doing the next 2 as 50% races in the same stream tomorrow. Then it's already kind of late starting this at 8 o'clock too. I did another race. I'd be up way later than I would want to be, considering I have to work the next few days yet. So Mexico City was on the Busch schedule this season, and Montreal would have been the next season. Hit that like button if you haven't done so yet. Subscribe for more NASCAR content on the daily. 60 to go at the line for Clint Bowyer. Try to get his first Busch Series win of the season. In race number 3. Couple mile and a halfs coming up. For that flat Las Vegas Motor Speedway, that more than likely is going to be a pretty good track for us. Definitely waiting to see if we get another caution. I think if we do, it's going to be in the middle of the green flag stops again, because I would assume everybody else is going to pit one more time. We have no clue exactly who the third place car may be. I would have restarted at the tail end of the lap car line. So there are 3 cars technically on the lead lap. Honestly, we should be 20 or less laps away from Seeing everybody come back down onto pit road. Restarted with 87 laps left. So I would imagine over. Boyer sliding by. A lot of three wide moves at that tail end of the field. A 15.162, fastest lap of the day. 50 laps left here for Clint Boyer at the Redball Raceway. Keep up just enough of the bottom after sliding up the track in the middle of 1 and 2. Reed Sorensen got back by Boyer. Boyer to the inside of Reed, as well as another car, taking it 3 wide. And they merge off turn 2 down the back straightaway and stay single file now into 3. I wonder if Paul Menard might have been that car that would have gotten the free pass just past him. I only say that because he started on the pole, and I don't remember lapping him before the last caution. It's tough to tell, though, because it was in the middle of green flag pit stops. Who's to say he didn't get trapped a couple laps down? That's why he's at the tail end of the field. He pitted early enough. 18.162. Oh, car just bounced off the wall. Looked like J.J. Yaley in the 18. Caught a piece of that concrete wall on the outside. I don't think there's any safer barrier at this racetrack. I just kind of realized that. That's how you can tell it's a grassroots fantasy racetrack. Aren't even any safer barriers. There's like hardly any grandstands. This place probably only seats like 2,500 people. Yeah, I mean, the preseason matters when it comes to, like you're talking about with scouts and, you know, I get that. It's not so much for scouting purposes of guys that are going to be on the main roster as much as it is for guys, you know, fighting for just like a spot on the roster. Obviously, it matters for them because they're trying to live their dream and play the sport that they're in. But even, you know, for like coaches and like you mentioned with scouts, looking at, you know, hey, who's going to be a good, you know, third string guy that we could have on our roster in case we get a couple guys injured at that same position. We're going to need someone, so they're still going to want the best guy they can get. But if like if a high profile guy is struggling in the preseason or spring training, depending on the sport, I don't take any stock into that. Because you don't even know. I mean, they could be just kind of taking it easy, mailing it in, preserving their body for when the season actually starts and the games count for real, and where their money is ultimately made, because they're not really getting paid for preseason sports on their contract. The contract, you know, is all regular season based. Usually get like bonuses for playoffs, stuff like that too. contact with the 192 car a little bit ago. 34 laps left here at Redball Raceway. A lot of cars down onto pit road yet again. Pit stops going on. Oh, a lot of contact there. Kyle Busch just got moved up the track. Unless that was Jimmy Johnson. It could have been the other Lowe's car. Oh, man, more contact. Yeah, it was Johnson getting moved. All right, fantasy driver. I think it was the 139. Thought it was the 163 from this far back, but it was the 139 car. Johnson. Oh, I thought he was going to move him back. Halfway out of gas this point in the run. 30 to go this time by. Going to put an entire lap on Aaron Crocker now. Oh boy, a lot of contact. One car leaving pit road, another was entering. Still staying green at the moment. 2-lap lead on the field for Boyer. With the entire field making that extra pit stop during this green flag condition. It's going to take a couple cautions. Multiple free passes for now the second place car, which is still more than likely Aaron Crocker, to get in contention here for the race win. So again, Boyer's just got to focus in on not making a mistake. One car blowing an engine. It's Reed Sorensen in the 41. We have that one yellow at lap 110, and that's the only caution we've seen this entire race. This is what pure domination looks like. I mean, you are exactly right. It doesn't get any easier than this. It did definitely help with the extra pit stops that the AI all took. I mean, we already had the fastest car in the field by far anyway, but that only makes it easier. I wish that was on a track where it was a disadvantage for us in the sense that we didn't have as fast of a car as we did in this race. Wish it would have came at a track where we would have needed something like that to happen for us to get a win. And this, we really didn't need that. But it definitely helps just in case you get that late race caution. A restart in the final 10 laps and just, getting in from behind or something ridiculous happening that cost us the win. A pit stop late, losing positions there. It's not of a worry anymore. 21 laps to go. This race is going to finish in less than an hour. I mean, we're only like 5 minutes away from the checkered flag. Means these lap times are pretty close to what we would be running at Bristol. Over 15 seconds a lap. Haven't gotten close enough to that 14-second a lap barrier. Still only noticed one car out of the race, which was that one driver that we saw blow an engine all the way at lap. Well, no, never mind. Reed Sorensen blew an engine not that long ago, too. Guess we've had a couple of engine failures. Not sure how upset John Andretti is at us. We'll have to find out. Nope, he doesn't want to turn me right now. That's good. Really clean pass on him. No contact made by either car. Yeah, I thought Lee Diffie was supposed to take over after the Olympics. So I was kind of surprised these last couple weeks that Rick Allen was still doing commentary. We have a ton of contact. I didn't realize we were 3 wide. We're good. Nothing to see here. $11 to go this time by. Well, I don't think we'll have a margin of victory this big the rest of the season. Especially when you consider the fact these Busch Series races are so short. Once we have another race at Redball Raceway, then we might end up in the same situation again, but... For what we know, definitely not an occurrence. And again, I had zero clue this was going to happen. I mean, we have not raced here on this game. It's the first fantasy track we've raced at on NASCAR 7 on the channel. We didn't have any on the custom schedule season for all 3 series, so definitely don't remember that happening in either NASCAR 05 or NASCAR 06. I feel like it's just an 07 thing. And I wonder if it's going to be like this in the truck race here too when we get to that point in the schedule, or if it's maybe just a Busch Series thing. I also don't know, it could be just this race too if we go back to the Redball Raceway later on this Busch Series season also. Lap car didn't want to give me room. Yeah, we've had a lot of contact with lap cars in this one. Guess I haven't caused a caution, but I've gotten hung up on them several times like that. It's alright. Still got speed. Lapping our teammate Jeff Burton yet again. 4 to go. It's got to be the quickest Busch Series race of the season. Definitely got to be the shortest in length. I mean, half-mile short track, it's only a 100-mile race. Not counting the 450% races we'll have on the season, of course. But in a full race. 2 to go. Still no caution-free race this season either. We did get that 1 yellow at lap 110. Just past the halfway mark in this one. And we cycled through green flag stops twice. Of course, we pitted only 2 times total in the race. Everybody else 3, which is why Clint Boyer's got the 2-lap lead on what is now the final lap of the race. Checkered flag will be waving. And Clint Boyer is a winner at the Redball Raceway, his first win of the 2006 season. All right. 3 races, 3 different winners. Could do something a little different. No burnout here. We're going to do the old Polish victory lap. Yeah, I should have done that with Dave Blaney, considering Ryan doesn't do burnouts. I don't know why I didn't think about that until just now. If we win another race with Dave Blaney on the season, then I'll have to remember to do this. All right, Aaron Crocker did lock in with that second place finish. 176 of 200 laps led for yours truly. 18 lead changes, which is definitely not accurate, but that's what it says. 2-lap margin of victory, 1 caution. That was again at lap 110. 56 minutes total time in this race. Again, less than an hour, even with 1 yellow to get this thing in. Started last, believe it or not. Took only 19 laps to go from last to first. Eric Crocker led for 7 laps a couple different times. T. Peterson led 1 lap, finishing 3rd. Again, Crocker 2nd. Tony Stewart finishes 4th. And it looks like Kurt Busch ends up finishing in 5th. Danny O'Quinn Jr. 6th. John Andretti 7th. Greg Biffle 8th. Rusty Montana in 9th. Let's see. Our teammates, Kevin Harvick finished in 22nd. Not sure where Jeff Burton ended up. Jeff Burton, 36th. 7 laps down. I think he pitted before the caution came out. Probably got trapped a couple extra laps down because he was in 7th when we had that last field pass with him right around lap 60, lap 70, somewhere around there. I was surprised he fell that far back. Only 2 DNFs, Reid Sorensen and C. Erickson. The only 2 drivers that blew an engine in this race and failed to make it to the finish. Take an updated look at the point standings now before we get out of here on the night. Wonder where the broadcast booth would be for Redball. That's a good question. That is a very good question. Samstown 150 will be the next race. Again, we'll do 250% races on a doubleheader, and we will start that stream at 6 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night. Flint Boyer jumps all the way up to 2nd in the point standings now, 43 points behind Tony Stewart. I think a lot of the Cup regulars were not in this race. There were some in the race, but not a lot of them. I don't remember seeing Kenseth or Martin anywhere. And so they fall back a little bit. Dale Jr., I don't think, was in that race. I didn't see him at all. He was the points leader at the start of the season, winning the first race. He had 3 different winners first 3 races, and Tony Stewart, 43-point lead. That's going to wrap up today's full race NASCAR 07 live stream. Again, 2 straight nights, well, 3 straight nights technically, well, 4. If you count last night and today, 4 straight nights of NASCAR 07. We got 2 more coming through the next 2 days over the next 48 hours. Again, 6 p.m. tomorrow, 6 p.m. on Thursday. We'll do a Busch Series doubleheader tomorrow. That will be Las Vegas and Atlanta, 250% races. So both those races, if I'm not mistaken, will be 150 laps. 100 laps. 100 at Vegas for sure. I guess it depends on what the race length is at Atlanta. I'd imagine it will be the same. If it's a 250-mile race, it might even be shorter than that. And as far as the Truck Series doubleheader on Thursday, that will be Atlanta and Martinsville. So get to see Atlanta a couple times over the next couple days. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good rest of your night. See you back and better than ever again tomorrow.